Hello everybody and welcome back to Across the Line. I am Tom, I'm going to be your host today. Joining me once again is my co-host Zack.
Hello.
And today we are going to be doing our predictions for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Now, last year it was a pretty uneventful race. The year before was a little bit better. But we're going into the 2024 race with very little knowledge. We didn't see much last weekend with these cars, did we?
Nope.
So, yes, in case you don't know, we do these predictions before we see any testing or any qualifying at the circuit. So, to kick things off, Zack, who have you got for pole position at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix?
See, I've gone rogue with this. I'm going to go with Max Verstappen.
Oh, wow, that is rogue.
Yeah.
That's very rogue.
Why
Max?
I've heard his name around a lot. I think he's a good up-and-comer. And I think he's driving a rocket ship at the moment, and I just think it's going to be so hard to beat. I know qualifying is going to likely be closer throughout the season than the actual race results, but the way they went in that first race.
Their qualifying pace was strong last weekend. The only thing I would bring up is that Charles overall had the fastest time of the weekend, which is why, for my pole position, I put down Max Verstappen. I'm not saying it's inevitable, but I do think it's like 99% likely. I'd like to see another pole sitter other than Max, but we know the likelihood is that Max in that Red Bull is dominant AF.
Yeah, and he's not bad at Jeddah either. Is it 2021 when he put in that monstrous lap until the very last corner and then he clipped the wall? He was flying.
Look back at that in the same way they look at how Senna drove around Monaco. It was one of those magical moments, and I think had he completed that lap, would have been one of the all-time greats. But in order to finish first you have to finish, and he clipped that wall. And the race was good that year, 2021. So hopefully we can have more of that this year.
Bit of controversy.
Oh, love a bit of controversy. But the podium for 2024, who have you got down for your third place of the Grand Prix? Who's taking the bottom step?
George Russell.
Wow, okay. Why George?
I just think that Mercedes it showed a good amount of pace. They got overtakes. I actually think they may have had the Ferrari in terms of pure pace had it not been for the problems with the car. They've had a week. They know about them now. If they can get that sorted, it's a fast track Jeddah. I think that they could surprise a few people. I think they could come back strong this weekend.
Yes. The Mercedes engine's still pretty strong. We saw that with the McLarens. Like, they didn't have the temp issues. However, I've not gone for a Mercedes in third. But I have gone for Lando Norris in third place. Little bit of a spicy take. I think the McLaren's going to be good around this track. They weren't last year, and I'm also sure I read somewhere online that the McLarens will suit this track. So I'm also going from that sort of knowledge too. Look at me doing wider research.
Stranger on Twitter.
Just some random bloke. Yes. So Lando Norris I've got for third. Second step on the podium. Who have you gone for?
King of the streets, Checo.
Wow, okay. Nice, predictable, solid. Exactly the same here. I'm guessing your reasoning is just he's in a Red Bull.
He's in a Red Bull. He's good at street races.
Yeah.
He just, unfortunately, it doesn't matter how good you are at street races, there is a better driver on the track driving the same car as you. And that leads me on to my first place. I think Max is going to win the race.
Yeah, same here. He won there in 22. Then last year, Perez got the victory. Max had an engine issue in Q2, so he started a little bit further down the field and then eventually charged his way back up to the podium spots. If he doesn't have an engine issue this year, it's goodbye, Mr. Verstappen.
We need a Latifi somewhere on the grid just to add a bit of chaos.
Biggest winner of the weekend. Who have you got down to be the biggest winner, team or driver?
I've gone team and I've gone for Mercedes. I just think that they're going to iron out some of the technical issues they had, and I think they showed a good amount of pace. I think George was flying towards the start of the race, and then it wasn't until they told him, right, manage the car.
Coast.
Yeah, you started to see him drop a little bit. They were obviously having problems. I just think they'll come back. Lewis, no matter how many times you go, he was down in the last race. He didn't have a good race. Yeah. It's never the start of a downfall with Lewis. It's usually a blip. So, yeah, I think they'll have a good weekend.
My biggest winner, however, I have gone for Lando Norris. I haven't gone for a team. I've gone for Lando. Obviously, I mentioned that I think he's going to get third this weekend. I don't know what sort of glue I'm sniffing, but I think he's going to have a good weekend. I think he's going to excel. I really think he's going to have a solid performance in that McLaren, and I flipping hope so, because the points they scored last weekend were fantastic, and I'd like for them to sort of carry on that momentum, because they went... I can't remember how many races they went last year with no points, but they've got 12 points on the board, and I'm hoping they can sort of keep building this momentum. I just realised for all the video watching viewers on YouTube, I am wearing a McLaren top, so I'm sort of not helping with my biased judgment of these predictions at the moment, but we'll gloss over those.
And for those listening on Spotify, I'm rocking my Alpine gear. Alpine for life.
Biggest loser of the weekend. Who have we got down for the biggest loser?
Alpine. I don't have a reason. I just car's bad. Like I don't have a set reason for why they're going to be the biggest losers of the weekend. I just Alpine.
Just went for Alpine.
Alpine.
Yeah. It was going to be a similar story for me, but I thought to spice it up for the sake of the content, I've written down a driver called Logan Sargent. I think maybe he's going to have a bit of a stinker, just because he's got pressure on him at the moment. He didn't have the best weekend last weekend out in Bahrain. The pressure's not there just yet, but it's going to be bubbling. And although he's not a rookie, he is somewhat accident prone. Not to the likes of Latifi and Nick De Vries last year, but I reckon he may have a moment this weekend that will deem him to be that of a bigger loser than Alpine. I'm probably going to be very wrong. I imagine Alpine are at the bottom of the barrel. I can already give you the point for Alpine being the biggest loser already.
I don't have a reason.
It's just their performance last weekend was so crap.
Yeah, and I think the longer it goes on, the more it's going to... A driver, probably Gasly, is going to get frustrated and annoyed.
And we can confirm, actually, since our last podcast, the director and one of the managers did actually leave. Like, when we recorded our last podcast, we mentioned how, it's all rumours, but Alpine came out with a big statement saying there's going to be some reshufflings in the company. So yeah, that team's going under some big changes at the moment, which brings us on nicely to the news story of the weekend. So this is a segment where we try and predict what we think the headlines are going to say about the Grand Prix weekend over the course of the 3 to 4 days. So, biggest news story, Zach. What have you got?
I see. I've just got written down here, Jos Verstappen being a weird little guy.
He's not invited this weekend. He's not going to be there.
Exactly. He'll do something.
He's going to just... he's like under one of the trucks. He just pops out.
I don't know. I just feel like he's at this moment in time, he's obviously had a bit of an argument with Horner, and I think he's just trying to reach out to literally anyone who will take comment. You know, by the time this comes out, you may have gone, oh, you have an F1 podcast. Here, I've got some things to say about Horner.
We'll get him on for the next episode.
But he seems to just be like, oh, well, if you don't sort this, Max is going to go somewhere else. And Max is just stood in a corner like...
Wait, what?
We obviously don't know, but I can't see Max. I can't see there being any truth to any of this, because Max can set all of the records. He can break everything.
Oh, 100%.
If he stays at Red Bull.
Yep.
If he makes a switch.
It's an unneeded switch. It'd be so stupid for him to do that, regardless of whether Jos is his manager or not. It's
Jos Verstappen being a weird little guy.
Weird little guy. Okay, that's a good news story. I like that. So, sticking with Red Bull, I've also gone for biggest news story of the weekend, being Red Bull related. Mine just says, Jerry to be wearing a white dress and holding hands with Christian Horner. I reckon there's going to be some more PR publicity of those two having a rock-solid relationship. I reckon we're going to see some more awkward hand-holding between the Horners, keeping up with the Horners.
On the race wall.
She's just holding his hand wherever he goes.
Post-race interviews. Jerry there, every shot.
Yep. Just doing that sort of grin, just gritted teeth. Yeah, I think that's going to be the story of the weekend.
Which one gets bigger headlines? Her not being there or her being there?
I don't know. We'd have to check his WhatsApp messages, see what she's up to. Okay, last few questions. Yes or no? Will there be a safety car this weekend?
Yes.
Same. It's 100% safety car rate at Jeddah. Will that safety car be because of any DNFs?
Yes.
How many do you think there will be?
I'm sticking tried and true. I went last week for 3. I'm going for 3 again.
I've done
it's Jeddah.
3 as
It's
well.
Jeddah. It's Jeddah. It's Jeddah.
Oh,
There's
blimey.
walls. It's fast. Logan is racing.
I'm going to stick with 3 as well. I reckon Logan is a likely candidate, but for the other 2, who knows? Maybe it could be
I think
Yuki
failure.
Daniel.
I think there's got to be a failure somewhere. They can't go 2 races into a season without anyone just having like something wrong with the car.
I mean, we're in for a pretty dull season if these cars are that bulletproof. We need some sort of spice. So there we go. Those are our predictions. Hopefully, they will somewhat come true. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. Zach, any last comments for this episode?
No.
No further comments. Okay, fair enough. Well, there we go. Thank you very much for watching and listening, everybody. We'll have links on screen now and below for you to follow on all our socials. And yes, we'll be back. When will we be back? Sometime next week after the Grand Prix to give you our race review. And we will go over and see how right or most likely wrong we have been with our Saudi Arabian Grand Prix predictions. What do you want them to do to the bell this week? You want them to lick it? Sniff it? Rap battle with the bell. There we go.
Rap battle with the bell.
So there we go. Thank you very much for listening or watching, everybody. And we will see you guys in the next episode. But until then, goodbye.